Welcome to Forest Chat, where we talk about individual endeavour in Western Australia. I'm your host, Paul Vandermeer, and today I'm speaking with Aisha Valenti about painting murals. Aisha is passionate about ensuring that the environment that we're in looks the best that it can. And about 3 years ago, she started painting murals in public. Welcome to Forest Chat, Aisha.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Great to have you here, Aisha. People think of all sorts of things when they think about murals. Uh, what actually do you do in the world of painting murals?
So I would say that I'm very passionate about enhancing spaces. So taking a wall that might be a bit of an eyesore and turning it into a masterpiece as of such. And like you mentioned, really bringing attention to our local flora and fauna. I'm also a very vibrant artist. I love a vibrant color palette because I think there's nothing more fun than driving past a mural or having a mural stop you in your tracks just so you can take it all in and enjoy visually just something that looks a lot nicer than a bland wall.
And what sort of walls have you been doing your artwork on?
A huge range, to be honest. So I specialize, I would say, mostly in outdoor murals, but I also do indoor murals, residential murals. I've worked with the Shire, I've worked with local schools as well. I've also facilitated paint by colours murals, in which, by the groups, students, anyone from community can come and join the process. It's a great interactive activity and it usually goes down very well.
Sounds like it. And that whole focus on turning something into something that looks fantastic is transformational.
100%. And that sense of pride you feel when you get to contribute back to your community, whether it is you're just painting the mural yourself or you're involving everyone else, it is really, really quite a rewarding and fun process.
Excellent. We'll look forward to getting into talking a bit more about that, especially when we get to talking about what it means. So, what does it take you to paint these murals?
Great question, Paul, because it takes a lot. So not only does it take the creative skill, when it comes to murals, there's actually a lot more planning that goes in place before you even hit the wall with paint. Sometimes it takes months, years, depending on the size of the mural, who you're working with. So for me personally, I have a consultation process in which I meet the client. I either get images off the wall or I meet them on site because things like texture really count. And when it comes to planning, you need to make sure you're using the appropriate materials. All of the paints and materials I use are all durable, weatherproof, UV proof. I need to make sure they adhere to the wall because sometimes I'm painting corrugated metal or I'm painting a very rough brick that really needs a prime first. And then there's also the design process. So I personally design digitally on my iPad. So I am drawing a concept of what the mural is going to be prior, and then I go back and forth with the client. We might make a number of revisions first, and I'm also making sure that the image fits on the wall, making sure it's not too big, not too small, it fills the space, composition is perfect. And then from there, organizing, scheduling a date to paint the mural and making sure that I'm not in anyone's way while I'm painting the mural either. I also might need to hire equipment because I might need to jump on a cherry picker or a scissor lift. And then there's all things like insurance and making sure you're coning off the area for pedestrians. It's actually insane how much preparation goes in before you even, think about starting a mural. So yeah, the fun part is definitely the painting, and which actually usually takes a lot less time.
Yeah, that's the easy bit, the fun bit.
Yeah, and then even with that said, there's a huge physical aspect too to painting a mural. You're using your entire body, and for me personally, sometimes I'm painting from 8 to 13 hours a day. I might be on a ladder, out in the sun, out in the elements. So staying physically healthy and fit has been a priority for me so that I can keep doing what I love to do.
Just thinking about that, being out there, you'll have all those hazards to do with, the sun. I mean, you mentioned things about traffic and that sort of thing. but also the paints. You're using sticky type paints, I would
Mm.
imagine, that usually require some chemical-y type bases and that sort of thing.
Oh, 100%. Even I spray paint as well. So it's making sure that you're wearing protective gear. You're making sure that those around you aren't going to be affected by the smells, and making sure that your workspace is very tidy too, because it's very easy to want to step back and look how you're going and then, hit a paint tin. You don't want it to fall off a ladder and then you've got to clean it all up. That's just another added job that you'd have to do. So
Yeah, you're already out there long enough. You don't want to be out there longer doing things that are like, oh no, I really didn't have to do that.
exactly. And if
You
it's
know,
something like a shy commission, I don't want to get in trouble for leaving paint everywhere or causing any issues.
absolutely. So you've got a very strong artistic sense, which I can see from the image behind you at the moment, but also the Christina Street artwork on the ablutions block that you did there. So where did that artistic bent come from? Because that's probably the fun part, right?
Yeah, certainly. I would say I love to mix the contemporary with a bit of realism. Um, I enjoy pop art as well. If I can make it a little bit more fun and quirky, then I love that. But I also want to make sure that I am executing things like when I mentioned I like to paint endangered species. I want to make sure that I accurately portray them, get their visually perfect so that people know exactly what they're looking at. Adding that vibrant pop in there is also a lot of fun. I love imaginative art. I love, yeah, like I mentioned, anything that's sort of going to stop people in their tracks and really stand out.
And how did you come to be an artist as such? Like
Mm.
people often stop painting and drawing and those sorts of things in about grade 3 at school because after that it doesn't seem to be the thing to do.
You're
But you've gone
totally
on and
right.
done.
Yeah, you're totally right. I really struggled in school academically, and I found that art was the one subject that I excelled in. I did exceptionally well, but from the get go, it wasn't promoted that it's a career choice, nor could you pay your bills from it. So don't even think about going off after school and choosing that as a job, a career. So I actually went on to do social work for many years, and I love social work. I'm very passionate about all things mental health. That was what I specialized in. I worked with children and youth. I was quite lucky because I got to incorporate a lot of my art based therapy into my work. And I got to see just how powerful it can be in supporting one's mental health well-being. So, because I personally was using it for my own mental health well-being, and I'd always done it on the side. And from high school, I was actually always selling it on the side, but then always working jobs or studying. So again, not looking at as a career choice. And then it hit me. I think I was quite burnt out in my job, and I was always yearning to do more art, have more time for it. And it was actually my partner who was extremely supportive and was like, just go for it, do it. And it was almost as if I needed the permission, which looking back now is just crazy. I wish I'd taken the leap a little bit sooner, but I think I was very scared. So I really just needed that encouragement. And I told myself, if after 6 months, this full time artist thing doesn't work out, then it's fine. I'll return to social work. And yeah, 2.5, nearly 3 years on, it certainly worked out. And I'm so grateful that I took the leap, because although there are challenges in working for yourself and being an artist, it has been my calling for a long time. So I feel like I've finally found my identity again, my full identity.
Wow, that must be such a comforting feeling, really, to be able to do that.
Oh, definitely. I think it's definitely healed the inner child in me that really yearned to be an artist but felt I couldn't. So it was nice to almost prove myself wrong in a way, and just take the leap and do it. Because if you are extremely passionate about something, I truly believe you will give it your all to make it work.
Yes, that's amazing. But you did mention there that you'll do everything you can to make it work. That's an important part of it. You can't just go, "Oh, I love doing this," and sit back and not think about how to make it work.
Definitely, definitely. And I think, with social media, some people get the false belief that it's all just painting on canvas, but there is a huge business and marketing side of things. And as you might know, there's editing video, doing all the back end stuff that nobody sees. They just get to see all the lovely, fluffy stuff, I guess, the great things. But there are a lot of hours and there are a lot of sleepless nights.
Yes, you hardly ever know when you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, yeah. You just ride the wave.
So, Aisha, we've had a bit of a chat about what it takes you to paint murals in this case. Let's have a little break now, and after the break, we'll come back and talk about what it means that you can paint murals. So, I've heard what it takes to paint murals. Now, let's have a look at what it means. Aisha, what does it mean to you, your family, or the community that you're able to paint murals?
Another great question, Paul. To start with, for me, it means the world. Like I mentioned, being able to fulfill that yearning to be an artist has been huge for me. And it's also been huge for me to promote online, also as I'm painting, to see the younger generation walking past, even adults, the older generation too, to see a full time artist doing a thing, getting paid for it. As a kid, I would have really loved to have seen that because it would have given me the proof that you can do art full time and it can be a career choice and you can earn money from it. You can pay your bills from it. So, to be honest, that means, yeah, the world to me. I also think it means a lot to my family to see me doing the thing that I've always wanted to do. I know my parents are very proud. And my friends are very happy that I've found a very fulfilling and rewarding job. And then my community, I am always trying to find ways to get my community involved, whether it's paint by colours murals, whether it's art workshops. I also offer one on one mentoring to fellow creatives who want to get into the art world, whether they want to upskill their art or their art business, whether they want to get into murals and bypass all of the mistakes that I previously made so they can learn properly. Yeah, I would say I think because it's such a fulfilling job, I wanna give back. And I'm also always trying to find ways to collaborate with local organizations or shires to make sure that we can deliver these sorts of events and activities free of charge because everyone should have access to creating.
Yes, there's a whole world of people pushing down the STEM, science, technology, what is it, engineering and mathematics. But that is a very unbalanced world if everybody goes into that. It's highly technical and it's really structured. Whereas people who communicate with each other and deal with each other, there's none of that stuff. It's all much more fluid, and that's where the arts come into play, and arts as well as the social sciences. And you mentioned your career there in social sciences.
Mm,
Those types of things are very different, but they are equally critical to having our society operate in a balanced way. So
100%.
it's so important that people are out there doing art and getting involved in art. So, have you got any examples of your maybe paint by numbers murals that have really inspired people?
Definitely, definitely. I just want to quickly say I think that's a great point you just made because I think sometimes we forget about how important and what a big role the arts play in our life, whether it's entertainment, music, visual art. It is so important because a world without it would be a very boring and depressing place, I imagine. And we have both kinds of people. They say that we have the right side and the left side of our brain. One is creative, and then one is more logical thinking, more science based. So my theory is we've got both kinds of human beings. We've got the more artsy, the more logical, and it's great. We need both. So let's embrace both and make sure both are playing a vital role, you know. So yeah, important, the arts. So my paint by colors murals, yes. So I recently had one, and I facilitated it in Broome, north of Western Australia, a remote town, and it went down amazingly, much better than I had anticipated. We painted a sort of seascape of the local mangroves down at Town Beach. So it featured the sea life. It also featured bats and dugong, and it was a beautiful piece. Something that I was taken aback by was I thought people would maybe paint for 15 minutes. That's what I'd sort of planned for. Little did I know, people were there for hours. They were so committed to this piece and they wanted more. I had planned for the day to finish midday, but the mural was finished earlier. The event in which they were all painting because everyone had committed. And after that, they were all very eager to know when's the next one. When's the next one? We want to paint. And those who had missed out saw all the photos were devastated. So it's it's great to see that people love it, and people drive past it all the time now, and they post photos with it because they got to contribute. They got to paint to an incredible piece that sits very strong and proud in our community now.
That's amazing, and it's so good to hear people getting involved and doing so much more than you anticipated they might do.
Yeah, and people were realizing too just what a mindful activity it is. I think they were there for hours because they were just getting lost in the process. And that's exactly what I love about art is that people can switch off, pause all of the other stuff that we need to worry about in the background, like bills and other things that are quite chaotic that might be going on in our life. For this, period in our life, all we are doing is putting paint on a wall, and that is all.
Yes, and then they're getting in the flow, which is the time when you're most productive and most focused, and it's just the best time in the world.
And it's so good for your mind and your body. Oh my gosh. I think that's why I'm so addicted.
Yes, so you must say it is addictive to be able to spend time and get in the flow because we are often very, very distracted in our regular life that it's actually hard to settle down and get into the flow. So it's wonderful to see those participants and that you yourself also enjoy that so much.
Definitely, definitely. Looking forward to doing more in 2025, which is creeping up.
Do you have a story maybe about how some piece of artwork that you've put into the community has actually helped other people?
Definitely. With all of my public murals, which the public can sort of access and walk past, I do spend a lot of time. I have my headphones on, but a lot of the time I take them off so that I'm aware of my surroundings, because I find that a lot of people want to come and they want to compliment and they want to watch and they want to appreciate the new installment in their community. Yeah, especially the one in Australind, because that one is located in a park. There are a lot of people walking past, driving past. So always very positive response, to be honest. So I can see why a lot of shires, which is great, are taking more initiative to give a lot of buildings a bit of an uplift, a bit of a facelift, something that was maybe a little bit drab, a little bit stained, maybe it's a bit of an eyesore. A lot of shires are looking to bring life to it, which is great and I love.
Oh yeah, it's amazing how you can brighten the place up entirely, how a mural brings life to a property. And it's amazing how from an architectural perspective, you go to somewhere like Hobart in Tasmania, which has got a lot of heritage type stuff, even in the city. Once you get off the level that you walk along the street at, because that looks like any city, but when you look up and you see the architectural details that they actually went to the trouble of creating. And we watch Tour de France and that sort of thing on the TV, and they fly the helicopters around and they show you all these amazing old buildings. And then you think of something that was done in the 70s in Australia and you go, oh, it's a brick box.
Yeah.
You know, it's really a flat roof or a whatever, and it's got a total lack of of artistic input. So to be
Yes.
able to add some artistic input is fantastic.
Oh, definitely. And when it's your town, you're the one driving around all the time. You're the one living in it. It plays a big. I think it plays a huge role to be surrounded by things that lift you up, and maybe even get your own creative juices flowing, and just more visually beautiful to appreciate and look at. Kind of like the incredible silo art that's getting around in rural Australia. When you drive around Australia, there are definitely some long strips that are quite a dry and possibly not so visually pleasing, but it's so cool that every now and then you'll hit a silo or you'll hit a town and there's just this incredible mural that's sort of, just very welcoming, very, and always either educational or promoting the town and what they're all about, farming, again, native animals. Yeah, I love it. Bit biased of me as a muralist, but I think it's great fun.
Absolutely. I've seen some pictures. We stopped by one in South Australia that had some cockatoos on it and that sort of thing. That was really impressive to see. And we're driving across the country, and there it is at one of our stops. So it was beautiful to see, and massive.
Definitely. And it's even more exciting to see there's more female muralists sort of getting in the game, which is great because I think previously, it was a very male dominated job. But now, we've got women that are more happy to scale some huge walls and cherry pickers and which is fun. Very fun.
Absolutely, you get to play with the toys as well, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. And show our younger girls that, anything is possible.
So there's definitely a lot of meaning that painting murals brings to you and the community that you live in. And also, we didn't go too far into it, the pride that your family has that you're able to go out and paint murals. We'll have a break now. And after the break, we'll have a look at how you do it. So we've had a look at what it means. Now, let's have a look at how you do it. Aisha, how do you go about getting to the point where you're able to paint murals?
I think it's important to have, usually those who are getting into murals have some artistic background. Perhaps they're already painting large scale on canvas and they're ready to explore murals. I think the first step would to be really researching, the painting materials that you need. A lot of the time, I source a lot of my materials from places like Bunnings. So are you painting an outdoor wall? You want to be ensuring that you're using outdoor paints. So research, research, research. There are plenty of amazing YouTube videos on how to paint murals, along with great podcasts as well. They will really help build your confidence because I think a big one is, having the confidence to take that leap. A lot of artists are very capable, but it is scary to go out and paint someone's wall, especially if it's out in public. I also think it's really helpful to seek out fellow mural mentors. There are a lot of people like myself who do offer that one on one support, which is great because you may already have an inquiry from someone who wants a mural and you're nervous about surface preparation. How to quote, I think how to quote is the hardest one. If you haven't done murals before and you haven't had the previous experience, making sure you're getting paid for your work, then you're able to cover all the costs of the materials. So yeah, social media too is very helpful. I personally post a lot of not only entertaining things on social media, but educational as well for fellow artists. So it's just finding all those resources that we have for free and also for paid for. Yeah, online, even networking through groups as well, artist groups. You might find a muralist in there who you can gain support from. So yeah, do your research, have a bit of an explore, reach out to a mentor if you really want that extra support. That would be my advice.
And by the sound of it, if there's a community mural program, you want to get in touch with that as well and potentially have a go.
Yeah, exactly. I promote all my upcoming paint by colors murals on social media. So anything upcoming, I will promote. And again, that's another great way to, a lot of the time, have free access to the artist, getting your first go at painting a mural, you seeing what materials they're using. I had some artists come down to my most recent event and more than happy to exchange advice, tips and tricks. So yeah.
And there's always the back fence.
Yes, Paul, that is correct. Yeah, you might have a fence or a wall. Practice at home. That is a very good tip, and I forgot to mention that. So, yeah, 100% practice at home. If it looks terrible, you paint over it again, and you keep going. A family member who owns their place, you could trial on their wall.
We painted our fence blue, so,
Mm.
underwater sea blue type thing, one of the places we had in the past, and painted a few fish on it and stuck some googly eyes on
Love it. 3D aspect.
it. So
Need to get
so
some
they
tips
were
from
they
you,
were
Paul.
super, super basic fish, but, it meant we weren't looking at a grey fibro fence, so it was great.
Exactly. Even just changing the color is just something fun.
Well, thank you very much, Aisha, for being a guest on Forest.chat. And Forest.chat listeners wish you all the best with your future endeavours.
Thank you so much for having me, Paul. It's been a blast. I'm going to quickly drop my social media in here. So if anybody's interested in following along on the journey or learning tips and tricks about painting murals or attending one of my Paint by Colours events, please follow Aisha's Art. You can Google me. The website, the Instagram will pop up AISHASART. Thank you.
A pleasure, Aisha. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Forest.chat, where we talk about individual endeavour in Western Australia, what it takes, what it means, and how you do it. I'm your host, Paul Vandermeer, and in today's episode, we talked with Aisha Valenti about painting murals. Remember, there are 4 ways you can get involved with Forest.chat. Share the domain forest.chat with your friends and family and people you meet. You get advance notice of the episodes when you subscribe. Listen to the published episodes at forest.chat/episodes. If you're doing something that inspires others, book an interview at forest.chat/interview. Book an advert at forest.chat/advert. I'm looking forward to joining you with our next interview. Until next time, enjoy making it happen.